Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to today's video. Now if you are new to the channel, then my name is Louis Hickson and I'm a fitness coach that brings out videos to help motivate, educate and hopefully entertain you all at the same time. Today, I am going to talk you through exactly how you can set up your diet when looking to go on a lean bulk.
So first I just want to give you a little physique update. So this is my most recent physique here, as you can see. The one on the left, that is from the first video of the bulking series. So I've actually lost a bit of body fat, as you can see. Probably got a bit more of a tan from the time that I was in Mexico. And now, especially if we do the back shot here, I've definitely lost a bit of body fat and toned up a lot there. Then stepping on the scales, and I'm 81.6 kg, which is 178 pounds. So my weight has gone up slightly.
So we're now in the classroom because, as you can see on my left, I have my whiteboard, and on there I've listed some of the most important things that I believe are going to help you successfully set up a lean bulking diet. Now, these things are going to be how many calories you should be eating and how to work that out for yourself. Macros, how much protein, carbs and fats you should be eating every day. How much weight gain is going to be safe to put on without putting on too much body fat, and meal timing. Now, when we say lean bulk, the idea is you aren't necessarily putting on lean muscle mass. You will still put on lean muscle mass whether you're doing more of a dirty bulk or a lean bulk, as long as your training is sufficient. However, the difference is that when you are on a lean bulk, you are just not putting on too much body fat in the process. You're trying to keep it down to a minimum. So the first thing that you need to do before setting up your lean bulking diet is you need to find out your maintenance calories. Now, what your maintenance calories are is the amount of calories you need to be eating each day just to maintain your weight without losing any weight and without gaining any weight. So the way to do this is you need to find out your BMR. BMR stands for basal metabolic rate. This is how many calories your body burns in a day completely at rest, doing nothing at all. Once you found out this number, you then need to take into account your activity levels. So whether you have a sedentary job, whether you're active, whether you're very active, how many times you go to the gym during the week, if you do. And then once you've found out this, that will give you your TDEE. That stands for your total daily energy expenditure, including the amount of exercise that you do in a day. So this is the most important number that we need to work off. This will then give you your maintenance calories. There's many different calculators that you can search on Google to find out these two things. So I'm going to use an example of 2,800 calories as the maintenance number. Remember, this isn't going to be the same for you because you would have done your calculations. It's going to be different for everyone in the world. So 2,800 calories is my maintenance. So let's say if you are gonna lean bulk, then use a different pen. So now let's say you are going to lean bulk. So if you're gonna bulk or put on muscle mass, you need to be in a calorie surplus. So we need to increase these calories. Now, when you're on a lean bulk, you don't want to increase your calories as much as 500, maybe even 700 calories a day, because that's going to be, far too much to start off with, especially if you are looking to keep the body fat gain to a minimum. Now, you want to be looking to put on, say, 100 to 300 calories more per day than your maintenance. So then that's going to take us from 2,800, let's make it easy, increase this by 200 calories a day. So now, to lean bulk, we're now going to be eating 3,000 calories per day. So we've increased the amount of calories by 200. So now that you understand how to work out the amount of calories you need to be eating each day when putting on lean muscle mass, then we need to go a bit more sciencey when working out our macros. So if we go back to basics, in 1 gram of protein, there are 4 calories. In 1 gram of fats, there's 9 calories. And in 1 gram of carbs, there are 4 calories. So you need to know how many calories per gram is in each macronutrient in order to work out how many grams of each macro you need to be eating each day. Now, the most important one of these macronutrients when either looking to keep, hold a muscle or build muscle is going to be protein. Now, I would say out of these macros, protein is the one that I like to work out based on body weight. Now, what I mean by that is, as a rule of thumb, I would say, for example, if you were losing body fat or looking to go on a cut, then your protein intake should be higher than it would when looking to build muscle mass, because when you are cutting down, you are going to be in a calorie deficit, so you will be eating below your maintenance. So the amount of protein you eat should be a bit higher. However, when you are in a calorie surplus when building muscle mass, your protein intake needs to be, moderate. So I would say if you're looking to lean bulk, have around 2 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. Obviously, this is going to be a little bit lower if you're working it out in pounds. So you want to have protein, let's make it easy, 2 grams per kilo of body weight. I'm 81 kilos, so let's make that easy. Let's call it 80. So 2 multiplied by 80 is 160 grams of protein is how much I need to be eating each day. So now what we have to do is we have to take this number, 160, and we have to multiply this by 4, because there's 4 calories in every gram of protein. So 160 times 4, 400, 60 times 4, 240, which will give me 640 calories each day is going to come from protein. Now, based on a 3,000 calorie per day lean bulk, we've already worked out how much protein we need to be having, which is 640 calories or 160 grams each day. Now we need to work out the fat. So when it comes to fat, there's a lot of research and data out there that suggests if you are on a cut, you don't want to be having any lower than 15 to 25% of your total calorie intake, and you don't want to be having any higher than 30%, I would say, especially if your calories are very high like this. So for example, if 30% of my total calories were to come from fat, that would be 900 calories, and if there's 9 calories in every gram of fat and 30% of my total calorie intake was 900, that would mean I would have to divide 900 by 9 to give me how many fats in grams I should be having each day. That would mean I would have to have 100 grams of fat a day if 30% of my total calories were coming from fats. So I lowered it slightly to do this calculation. So I would say 25% should be a good number from your total calories in fats. So 25% of 300 is 750 calories. Then we need to work out how many fats you need in grams. So 750, what you would do is divide it by 9, because again, there's 9 calories in every 1 gram of fat. So 750 divided by 9, that will give me roughly 83 grams of fat a day, because I don't really want to go higher than 100 grams of fat a day. That's quite a lot. So for some people, high fat diets, they work, almost ketogenic diets work, but I'm just basing, this video for the majority of people out there. So 1 gram of carbs, there is 4 calories. So now what we need to do, we found out there's 750 calories in our diet coming from fats, 640 calories coming from protein. So we need to take 640, 750 away from 3000, which will give us 1610 calories left to play with. So now what we need to do to find out how many grams of carbs we need each day, 1610 divided by 4, because there's 4 calories in every 1 gram of carbs. That will give us 402 grams coming from carbs. So we've worked out the calories coming from each macronutrient and how much of each thing we need in grams. Remember, the carbs is high, but it's going to be very important if you're trying to build as much muscle mass as possible, because it's going to be good for performance in the gym, make you lift more weights, give you more energy, and obviously build more muscle mass in the process. So then, to make things easy for yourself, every single day, all you need to do is buy a cheap food scale and weigh out your food, because the amount of grams of each macro that you need each day. In this case, 160 grams protein, fats 83, 402 carbs. It'll be different for you, be different for everyone else. So if you can get yourself a food scale, get used to weighing out your foods, then that means, say for example, if you had a chicken breast, on the packaging these days, every single thing is normally labeled, and it should say, for example, in 100 grams of chicken, there is 30 grams of protein. So if you weigh out 100 grams of chicken on the scale, then once you've eaten that, you can deduct the 30 grams from this, and then you've only got 130 grams of protein left. And the same for the rest of the macros, do exactly the same thing. And download an app like MyFitnessPal, that's really going to help you track your macros and calories as well. But food scale is a priority when lean bulking. Now, that being said, that is why lean bulk is very different to a dirty bulk, not only because you're keeping the body fat gain to a minimum, but also because it's very important when tracking your macros that you can try and get foods that are quite high in one but quite low in the others, because it makes tracking a little bit easier. Because if you have a chicken breast or a fresh piece of fish, it's going to be pretty low in fat and low in carbs, but very high in protein. Same, for example, if you had a carb source of a sweet potato, it's going to be very high in carb but pretty low in fat, pretty low in protein, making the tracking process a lot easier. So next thing I want to talk about is weight gain. How much weight is safe to put on during a bulking process, because you don't want to put on too much body fat when you are in a calorie surplus. So the way to track this is, I would actually weigh yourself every day, because each day your weight can fluctuate. So one day you might have, gone down a little bit, you might have gone up, and it might mess with your head a little bit. So if you can weigh yourself each day, and out of the 7 days in the week, if 4 of them your weight has stayed the same but it's gone up from what you were previously, then you know that you're kind of making good progress on the lean bulk, because the majority of the days are actually higher than the week before. Now, the amount of weight gain that's safe to put on, I'm actually going to put a chart up on the screen now that is actually from the fat loss expert Lyle McDonald, and it's going to be different for people who are beginners, different for people who are intermediate lifters, and it's going to be different for advanced lifters, the amount of weight or muscle mass you can actually put on, because this depends on the quality of your training age, how long you've been training for, etc., gender, many different factors. Now, as a rough, again, a rule of thumb, I would say that, your best bet is probably 1% of your total body weight each month is a safe amount of weight gain to put on. So last but not least, I want to talk about meal timing and meal frequency, because there's a lot of things that we once thought were true that aren't necessarily true anymore, which are that you need to be having protein every 2 to 3 hours. However, protein takes multiple hours to digest in your system throughout the day, so as long as you have enough calories and obviously the right amount of protein for you, then that is going to be pretty much covered anyway. Another thing to take into consideration when it comes to meal timing is how many meals is going to be enough for you during the day, whether you are cutting or whether you're bulking. So if you are on a lean bulking phase, then is a low amount of meals, say 2 to 3, going to contain the amount of calories that you need to hit during that day? Maybe not if you are having the healthy food types for those macros, so you're having the healthy protein sources like eggs, fish, chicken, beef, carb sources, sweet potato, brown rice, fat sources, oils, peanut butter, avocado. If you're truly sticking to healthy macros, are you really going to hit all your calories just in 2 meals? And if you are, then they're going to be pretty big meals, keeping you very full, and it depends what time you have them, because maybe if you had them early in the day, then later on you might be hungry again, but then you can't go too over your calories because you're already in a calorie surplus. And if you're cutting, then maybe you might want to have a higher amount of meals to make you feel fuller during the day every few hours. So that is something else to consider. Now, another thing about meal timing is your pre-workout nutrition during your workout, and post-workout. So if you, which many people do, intermittent fasting, or you don't eat breakfast, that's absolutely fine as long as you hit the amount of calories and the right macros during the day. However, if you were looking to put on muscle, then you need to consider what time you do your weight training in the day. So if you are intermittent fasting and you skip breakfast, it's not ideal for performance, and it's not ideal for performance that you don't have a meal in the morning before you work out, if that's what time you train, because you need your carbohydrates for performance, and obviously the better your performance, the better your weight training, you're sticking to the program, and you can leave the gym knowing that you've done everything you can to build muscle. Now, There's a few things as well when it comes to pre, during and post workout meals. So one is I would have slow release carbohydrates like oatmeal an hour before you work out. I would have your fast acting sugars maybe 30 minutes before you work out, but as long as you have, you know, ideally a meal with a good amount of protein, carbohydrates, maybe an hour to 30 minutes pre-workout, then that is going to be good enough for the majority of people out there. I know what you're thinking, Louis, this whole video you've had hold of these coloured pens, but you've only used black. The reason for that is because the sun is blazing right through the glass onto this board. Black is bold, black is clear, so I'm going with black, okay? Right, now, a little bit more on meal timing is, where were we? Pre, post, during nutrition. So something else that isn't true is that you need to have carbs post-workout to replenish your glycogen stores. The reason that's not true is because glycogen in a muscle group is fully replenished within 24 hours, and 99.9% of people who are weight training are probably not going to train that same muscle group in any less than 24 hours. So if I train chest today, I'm certainly not going to train it tomorrow. I'd probably train it, you know, the day after or maybe 2 days after. So that is something else that is not true when it comes to post-workout nutrition carbohydrates, but definitely you do want to have, for the majority of people out there, a meal containing protein and carbohydrates maybe an hour to 30 minutes before you work out. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is going to be you're eating the right amount of calories. Remember, in a lean bulking phase, only 1 to 300 above your maintenance, and you're eating the right amount of protein for you, and you're also tracking the other macros like the carbs and the fats. Those are going to be the right foundations to get you started on the lean bulking diet. Meal timing, probably the most important thing is, you know, your pre-workout carbohydrates to help with performance, to make sure you are executing every exercise correctly and you are performing to your best in the gym, because you want to make the most out of the time you've got to build as much muscle as possible. Thanks very much for watching today's video, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and you learned something of value. Thank you again, and I will see you next time.